What is going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your 13th chemistry tutorial. And in this tutorial I'm going to be talking to you guys about valence electrons and also isotopes and maybe something else if I have time. I really don't know yet. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is valence electrons. Now valence electrons are electrons on the outermost energy level. So why do we even need to know about valence electrons? Seems kind of useless to give, kind of them a random name. Well, whenever you have a chemical reaction that takes place, elements usually lose or gain electrons. So let me go ahead and draw a simple element. I'll draw carbon. Now carbon has 6 protons and it has 6 electrons most of the time. So let me go ahead and we'll just go ahead and assume that 6 protons are in that nucleus. Now the electrons are 2 on the first energy level and 4 on the second energy level. Now these electrons out here on the outermost energy level are called valence electrons. Now remember, these are all negatively charged particles, and the nucleus is positively charged. There's a bunch of protons in there. So there's always an attraction between these electrons and the nucleus. However, the farther away you go, the less attraction there is, or the less force. So whenever you have a chemical reaction that takes place, the farthest ones away are the first to go because they have less of an attraction than these ones right here. And again, that is basically what valence electrons are. The electrons on the outermost energy level. That's all you need to know. So now that we understand what valence electrons are and how they are either lost or gained in chemical reactions, we can now move on to the next topic, which is isotopes. Now you might have heard of isotopes before, but if you haven't, I'll go ahead and give you a quick review. So before I even start, I guess I might as well mention this. I know we didn't go over the periodic table yet, but you probably gathered by now that elements are defined by the number of protons in them. For example, if an element has 1 proton, we call it hydrogen. Any element with 2 protons, we call helium, and they each have a designated symbol, and whenever we're looking at the periodic table, we're going to see all about this. So basically, just remember this. Elements are defined by the number of protons they possess. However, sometimes you can have elements with the same number of protons, but different amounts of neutrons. Whenever this happens, we call these elements isotopes. So, for example, whenever we're looking at carbon, we take the entire mass number, which is 12, and how many protons it has. Carbon always has 6 protons. So that's why we write it like this. Now if we subtract the entire mass, or excuse me, the number of protons from the entire mass, we get 6. So carbon 12 has 6 neutrons because protons plus neutrons equal mass. However, you also have something like carbon 14. Now carbon 14 is the entire mass, 14. However, like I said, carbon always has 6 protons. So if you take 14 minus 6, you get 8. So carbon 14 has 8 neutrons, 6 protons, for an entire mass of 14. So carbon 12 and carbon 14 would be called isotopes. The definition is different forms of a single element. Basically, whenever you have an element with the same number of protons, but different number of neutrons, they're called isotopes. Again, one last time, different forms of the same element. So both of these have 6 protons, but one has 6 neutrons, and the other has 8 neutrons in the nucleus. So there you go, you now know about isotopes and also valence electrons. In the next tutorial we're going to be covering ions and then be getting into the periodic table, and it is going to be a blast. So thank you guys for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.